Is it just me or was it glitching for you too?
No, it wasn't glitching for me whatsoever.
Fucking
I like that bit at the start. It says it'll make you hairless. I shaved on my head tonight. And I just shaved tonight. My
I
hands.
started going bald when I started going into this stuff.
Nah, see, I've noticed
Seriously.
that. I have noticed.
Seriously.
I've noticed a lot of people in the paranormal that aren't women, obviously, that are men that. Well, you can
Some
really
women
be
too.
anything nowadays. You can be a what do you call it? You can be a turn up
Oh,
nowadays and
careful,
identify as
careful,
someone.
careful.
That's right.
Anti-discrimination laws. The Scottish,
That's no that.
you're
It's
going
no.
to
I
offend
don't.
people. You're going to
I
offend
don't think.
people.
I don't think I'm going to offend any turn ups out there.
Don't
I
you
don't
think
think
you're
there's going to
pissing
be a
off
turn up.
enough people, Chris, lately, man? Come on.
What do you mean? I don't think
What
there's
you
any. I
mean?
don't
The
think there's
number of
any
people I
identifies as a
have
turn up out
messaging
there.
me. I don't know.
Who messaged you? But that's just sad individuals,
Oh,
you know. That's just
no,
that's
no,
just
no.
life.
Well, let's just face it. You know, we had some old flares come up from previous feuds before, but it sounds like, you know, everything's been settled, and they said that if you want to talk to them, the door's open. But
Well, it's actually quite interesting. You say that. It's actually quite interesting to see that. I was as a friend, and they've been showing me how to do card readings and stuff like that, and training me up in my kind of my psychic abilities and stuff. And they says to me, says Ken something. I don't know if it is with you, Chris, but you have this weird energy about you that you like to piss folk off. And I said, no, what it is
you
what
have
it is.
fully admitted to me that you do.
Right, I'll admit. Right, I'm going to say this now on the Xbox when I'm partaking in a game of the old GTA. Right, I do like to piss people off because I find it relaxing. You see the death threats I've had by ladies and gentlemen. I've had death threats and everything. Anyway, never mind that. It's a story for another time, as one would say. But I do have this effect. I can go into a room, sit down, no say a word, and at the end of the night, everybody would want to murder me. I do have this weird vibe about me. Maybe it's like a superhero ability. You know, I could go into a room and everybody wants to like kill me at the end of the night just because I'm sitting there. It must be the weird energy coming off me, you know.
Yeah. Hold still.
You know, but no, look, I've had problems with my YouTube side and stuff like that. I've had my stalkers and my trolls and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of madness that hopefully is gone now.
Yeah, I will
Say
say
that
this
way, I can
as a
like,
correction. I haven't had a chance to get back to him, but I will say this: if you're feeling isolated, thinking that he's talking about you, I will personally to attest that he's pissed off a lot of people.
I wouldn't know whoever this person is you're talking about. I wouldn't worry about it. There is many a person
I
out
know,
there that wants to
I
burn me at
know,
the stake.
I know. But you know, I'm kind of thankful for that conversation because it actually gave me an idea for tonight's show,
Mm,
and it's
fire away.
something that isn't really discussed a whole lot is the concept of proof of the supernatural.
See, I was thinking about this the day I did a wee live the day in the old Ghost Squad Scotland. I was what you call it. I mentioned that the proof. What? His cameras went off, ladies and gentlemen. Are you there? Come back for the other side. He's gone,
I
ladies and
was blowing
gentlemen.
my nose, you dipshit.
Oh no, you've been away for 6 weeks. What do you mean? This is nearly September.
Uh, 6
You
weeks
don't
since
know, ladies.
already September. You
I know.
need to
I
know
says
your
I was
mouth.
special. I learn my math. I just ignore me. But here's the thing, right? I've seen proof. I've seen like apparitions walking through walls and stuff like that, and then there'll be somebody out there, there'll be wee trolls out there, like, show us your truth, show us your truth. I'm telling you, there'll be
Yeah.
people like that watching us
No, no,
tonight saying,
no.
you know, I've seen a lot of fakers. I'm going to say this to now, there is an awful lot of fakers on YouTube this weather.
Mhm.
There's an awful lot of fakers out there. And it's not just that, there's a lot of fake folk that fake a lot. It's not just ghost stuff, it's YouTube stuff.
I
Eh?
know.
What do you call it? The old aliens coming down and all that kind of stuff. I
I
mean,
know.
CGI is getting better.
I mean, it's getting easier to work with. It's more accessible. That's why I've always tried to look up little updates on AI advancements to talk about on the show so that way people can be aware so they know what to look for. But nevertheless, this shit's getting good. I mean, hell, didn't you have you seen the little notice that's been going around lately that the YouTube CEO is looking at OpenAI, the creator of like ChatGPT, that new Sora AI that a bunch of fake ads are already starting to come out about, saying that do not use our videos to train your AI or there will be trouble.
Aye. It's but anyway, who's all in the chat tonight before we get into the our subject for tonight? Totally. We've got Dots. He was a me making tea, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Lawrence.
Yes.
We've got Louise. Who else do we have in there?
What up, hoes? Pete.
Pete. There's a man himself. I like to interview him. Pete, he's been doing some weird stuff, dudes. And go over and check
I would
out
honestly want to see
Naked.
if he has the same glitches that his father would always have when he come on with us. You know what I mean?
Pete, when your dad used to come on here, your dad would sound like a Cylon. And I mean the Cylons out like the 1980s TV show. You know, the ones in the big silver, but the new one, it was made of a load of rubbish. But it's good to see you, Pete. I hope he's probably in his dome tent somewhere in a graveyard now with strange things on about him.
Yeah, be safe on your travels, brother.
Yes,
That's all I gotta say. Be safe on your travels.
And remember too, please go and check out Son of the Naked Bigfoot on TikTok. He's on there now too, so check him out. But anyway, as you were saying, paranormal proof. I've seen a lot of videos throughout my life doing the paranormal stuff. I'm going to say this, I've seen some amount of utter shit. Right? I've had people come to me, and this is a UFO subject, Dots will let us one, came to me with a video, right? And he said, "Oh, it was this is probably quite a well-known video, and it's the one with the UFO in the field beaming up the cows. You know the one I'm talking about, the fake one."
Yeah.
Somebody actually came to me and they're like, "Listen, this is groundbreaking. They actually thought it was real." And I sat and I says to him, I says, "You can see it's fake. I mean, come on. I've seen real UFO videos, right? Where people have went, oh, it looks too real. It must be fake." And then they get a fake video that looks so shit, they think it's real.
Yeah.
You got a head cold, Dakota?
Yeah, I've had it for about a week.
Really? That's why
you don't notice? You don't notice that my voice is a bit different?
I thought you were just kind of going with the kind of cryptid kind of like because Dark Knight Radio kind of vibe tonight. Because he was changing his voice.
Yeah, I may be able to naturally change my voice, but this is also what happens when I get sick. I'm told he tends to sound a lot sexier for radio. So, ladies,
fire away, dear boy.
But no, you make a very valid point when it comes to the proof that's shown online. Being that CGI is getting a lot more creative. There's genuinely creative people staging these incidents in ways that most people would not even think of. But in the same light, we also got to take into consideration the probability of these things happening in the first place. When you really think about it, you're more likely to win the lottery a few times over than be able to catch something legit.
I mean, I will say this, right? I've been allowed to see videos that are no on the internet. It doesn't matter where you look them up, you'll no see them, and it's like people's private videos, like paranormal stuff, right? And I've seen and I've heard some crazy stuff that makes me say to myself, "There's definitely an afterlife." But then I've seen videos that are so utterly fake, right? You say to yourself, they've got like 500,000 views, right? And everybody believes that they're real, right? And this is what I can't get. It's
mob mentality.
It's like the mob mentality, and it's true, like you say, it's like getting lightning hitting the same spot 4 times in a row. That's what it's like. I mean, you go to TikTok, and TikTok's notorious for it. There'll be all these UFOs, but people don't do the research. I've researched some of these people because I used to do research and paranormal stuff. There was one that says, "Oh, this place is always getting UFOs. It's always getting UFOs." It was somewhere in Dallas, Texas, and it was always getting UFOs. But I researched it. It wasn't. The guy had 10 videos for like all around the world, chopped them up, spliced them together, and said they were off at the same location. Right? One of them was real. One of them was a real case. The rest were all CGI. And that's what he done. He put a real one at the start, and the rest were fake.
Well, all it takes is just having that one shred of credibility that will fool the masses, and that is well known across any sort of marketing, any sort of even espionage. CIA does stuff like that all the time.
The CIA and NSA.
Oh, they preach it.
Yeah,
they preach it.
They do it all the time. I mean, there's Knowledge Within. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, bud. There's Son of the Naked Bigfoot. Been doing some spirit photography. One of Dad's antique cameras. Lots of weird. I bet you that is.
That would not surprise me. See some of the shit your dad has done.
Yeah, you sure it wasn't like Beelzebub's personal camera he used on holiday or something like that? Because your dad has some crazy amount of shit stored away. God knows where he got that camera for, Pete, but I would watch yourself, man.
I know. I think that's why the little girl was sparking up a little while back. She knew that Pete was going to get ready to start heading down this road, and he was going to need to be ready, especially with everything going on in the world.
But it's interesting, Pete. You'll need to send us some of the pictures, man. I would love to see that. By the way, please. I'll not share them, MD. Just get them for myself, kind of thing. But see what Pete's doing. That's real evidence. That is real evidence of strange things. But it's people out there that go into a computer, create something, then put it out there as real. Just as they become famous and so their channel can make loads of money. Yeah, I mean.
Exactly. And but as I'm saying, when you really take into consideration the thing that is difficult about this type of stuff, unless you're able to commit yourself practically full time, not have to worry about your day job or kids at home, stuff like that. It's kind of hard to be able to capture stuff. I mean, hell, I'm half tempted to see if I can't get like one of those Google Maps cameras and to mount on my car just so it's constantly taking photos, because I'm speculating shit's going on and I can't get my equipment out fast enough.
That's actually a good idea. You should get like the Ghostbuster. What do you think, guys? We donate to the channel now.
Get like a hearse.
We could get you could get like the Ghostbusters vehicle,
There is actually someone not too far from me. I know, because they put it into the car shows every year, who has outfitted a hearse to look like the Ectomobile.
Yeah.
And they did. They actually did a very good job.
I know a couple of truck drivers, and they've told me they've noticed a few strange things. There's been a few times that it's quite interesting. They've pulled up for the night. You know, truck drivers have to pull up somewhere to rest because it's a law. They're not allowed to drive any further. It's like some tachograph or something inside the vehicle. And there's been times they've pulled up at the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and they've been in their bed at night, and their doors went. So they've looked out, but there's nobody there. And there's been times that some of these new modern trucks, the guy like Ken, he's got one of the big Volvos, one of the new big Volvo. It's like, it's state of the art truck, right? And he's got cameras all the way around about it. And his door was gone one night, and there was nobody outside his door. Yeah. And I was like, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. I mean, I've seen some strange stuff. It's like that day a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, somebody chapped my door, but there was nobody there. And it makes me wonder, who is that? It makes me wonder. I know the saying, you shouldn't open the door and it lets them in. That's the old wives' story, innit? But, I mean? Yeah. But I do think with technology getting better, it can prove things. Hey, Christine, with technology getting better, it can prove things. What's that face? And being having an adventure, mad experience, some scary shit, but Also gotten closer to my dad's past, which has moved me to tears sometimes. Yeah, I bet it has, Pete.
Yeah, I doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's if you don't care who we're talking about, guys, go and check out Mike the Naked Bigfoot's channel and watch some of his stuff, because it'll just blow you away with this tales that he tells you. And it's no tales, it's real stuff, you know. But what I'm saying is, to jumping onto the kind of technology side, see the things now, technology's getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Like that truck, for instance, right? And there's nobody there. And people are like, oh, can I get to see the footage? No. Some people don't like doing this. Some people don't like showing footage like that because they don't want to believe in this kind of stuff because it scares some
Mm-hmm.
folk. Whereas some folk like us, we would love to watch something like that. But there's people out there that want to forget about that and hope it never happens again. But technology is getting better and better and better and better. But I have noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this, like, see, with like UFOs, real UFOs, when you're using like the new technology phones, sometimes the cameras just don't work.
Oh, there's actually a reason behind that.
Is there? Well, what's that?
Hold on a minute.
Gazoon tight.
Blowing my damn brains out.
I actually need to blow my nose to. It's not from my nose to.
Here. In order to back what I'm going to say here, we need to look at cases like Benny and Barney Hill, where there's obvious traces of high electromagnetic radiation exposure, right? The hood of the car, the paint was peeled back. There was electronic malfunctions, stuff like that. You go to certain crop circles, the ones that are most likely to be more legit, you take any sort of Geiger counter or EMF out there, the thing is going to light up. So the reason why likely UFOs may cause camera glitches is the same reason why solar flares can fuck up electronics.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same reason, but it's a lot more concentrated. I see a lot of explanations like, oh, it's technology from higher densities that can't really be handled at our point. Technically, yes. If you really go into it, you can take stories of spontaneous combustion. You have some of these hauntings that allegedly has like really nasty poltergeists, really nasty demonic possessions, to where it got to the point where all of a sudden the entire house lights on fire for no discernible cause.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, a higher dimensional, higher density being, their physical being may actually be several times more active on EMF than anything we would be able to handle. So if you were to concentrate that on a singular point, because our realm where we're at builds up, it's part of their world, but it's like we're like ants on a magnifying glass. See, you concentrate that energy too much into a singular spot, it's going to burn.
Before we jump onto what Pete's put in the chat, and it's a subject that I've never really talked about before in the paranormal, and it should be talked about, is spontaneous human combustion.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say there, I mean, people will go to sleep and they'll not wake up. There'll be a pile of ash the next day, but everything else in the room will be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
There'll just be what's left of a human, a set of feet and a hand, and the rest is ash. That's
I've only heard of that happening once within the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Where it's legitimately on the person's death certificate as the cause of death. And even though, from what I've seen, it does what they think may have happened, which a lot of stories could possibly be explained by this. Well, these people were also smokers and passed out with a lit cigarette out on their clothes.
Yeah, we should do a show on it. But Pete, listen, be safe out there when Pete's going away, but we're just about to read out your thing that you put. He's going out to meet some people. Please be safe out there, man. Don't get eaten by Bigfoot or anything like that. Thinking about you, man. Keep us updated in the old Twitter.
Ooh.
You know,
I remember that. I remember the werewolf story when Mike told us about that.
Do read it for our podcast listeners.
Yes, the gravesite of the guy that was accused of being a werewolf and a killer was something else. Dad always got quiet when he talked about meeting him, tore Dad up when he was executed. I remember Mike actually brought this story up
That's
once
right.
with us. Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just good luck, Pete. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
Good luck, man. Be safe, and if we don't hear from you again, we'll always remember you. Just be safe out there, you know. Before I go, you
You
guys need
guys
to
need to
research.
research the spontaneous combustion cases in Haiti. It was directed. Ooh.
Oh, thank you very much, Pete, for that. I will. I'll
Oh,
do that tonight.
there is
Something to do.
also stories, and I think some Nazi influence in this as well, of directed magical attacks that did cause spontaneous combustion.
See, I remember Mike telling me the stories about the zombies.
Hmm.
Remember we did a show one night about the zombies and how it was a weird concoction, like a secret recipe that I mean they would make up and that. It makes you wonder how they did that to cause somebody to burst into flames.
What I would want to know is how the fuck did they manage to even think of that in the first place?
Come on, it's
What
you've
what sort of circumstances, say like zombie drugs, what happened to where people found out that was even a possibility? That's
well, it's a
that's what I'm
religion.
curious about. Think about
Well,
it.
it's like in the voodoo and the hoodoo religion. I mean, it's like it's
Everything gets
it,
based off of something.
yeah, but you got to remember that a lot of people don't realize this. What Mike believed in was so much older than Christianity.
Exactly.
Very old. I mean, it's ridiculously old to the beginning of time kind of thing. And you don't know what's happened in the thousands and thousands of years in the past. Yeah, I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. So that my question still remains valid. Some of these concoctions that you would hear in hoodoo, let's see, I think
Mhm.
if I remember off the top of my head, the zombie concoction
Yes.
involved blowfish poison
Yes.
and a bunch of other stuff with it.
Mhm.
How did they find out in the first place that that caused that effect?
That's actually true.
That's
It's
not
kinda
that. I mean,
it
what happened? That's what I want to know.
no, it's kinda like how did they find out that the potato wasn't poisonous? Kinda, I mean, they're like, "Here, you ship crew member, we've found this strange plant here, and I'm calling it a potato. Go and eat that and see what happens." Yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
like
potatoes can be poisonous until they reach a
they can.
certain point. Yes,
That's very
they can
true.
really fuck you up.
That's very true. But you've
But
got
at
to
the
watch. But it's actually an interesting thing that how do you know how it started?
exactly what happened when it got started? That's always something I've been curious about.
See, that's interesting. So you were telling me tonight you had some videos.
Well, got a couple videos.
Ooh, I'm for a
Only
treat.
been shown to maybe like one other person, never before released to the public. I figured since we're talking about proof of the paranormal,
Mhm.
we may potentially bring up some videos and a couple photos. Well, technically one photo, but it's like a before and after with
Yeah.
filters
Yeah.
to bring it out. So the first one, I will elaborate for those watching the video side of this. There's a little sticker of me on it. Basically, it was put there just to hide identifying information, just to
Yep.
maintain privacy for the people involved. So let me just get it pulled up here.
It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to your video that you told us tonight.
All
Oh,
right, no, there's a
there you go.
couple. All right, like I said, little picture of me on there, AI generated. It's one of those little AI avatar things. I got this on my phone, so I just kind of uploaded it from there. But that's just to cover the basically the person's address. So
Right.
I'm just gonna play this. There's no audio to it. So for those of you listening on the podcast side of it, find one of our video channels
There you
because
go.
this is interesting. Just wait, you'll see it. You see that shit?
What was that? That was what was that in the background? I mean, what was that? That was. Let me move my microphone a wee bit.
Here, I'll pull it back so we can play it again.
That's weird. That what's that in the background? Is it like I see a pole going up there between the
All
two
right.
buildings?
So, background. The weather, it was raining that night. Well, rain snow mix. So if you see like little white streaks in the video, that's what it is. It's just how the camera process it. It's essentially a baby monitor camera that is being used to monitor this person's front door for like package thieves, shit like that. I got a message the other night. This person barely installed this, and they said they wanted me to take a look at this because they believe that they may have actually caught UFOs where there have been reports previously of craft in the sky. I will say that there have been reports that have not been officially confirmed of whether or not they are legitimate craft, as in ET wise, in this direction. I know exactly where this was taken, but when they went to show me this, the program they use only catches about 30-second clips. They had no clue. This is just basically just pointing to some houses. There's a little trailer yard. There's a bit of a barn right there with some horses and some chickens. Nothing is back there that would cause that light or that weird explosion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and play
Can
through
you
it again.
can you pause it just as it lights up?
That's actually what I was just about to do. Now,
There's got a parachute in it.
that's the transformer that's on the power pole, I believe. But look carefully about how the light hits. This is why it's important to try to document as much as possible. Because this video has been debunked.
Right. I don't think that is the power pole. I'm going to say that that.
All right, come on.
Because you can see where the power pole begins. See how you've got the barn? It's illuminated. You see the power pole at the side there? There's a power pole there. But it's making me wonder, what is that? That thing looks like a wee parachute with a guy coming down at the sky. That's interesting. Is it a transformer failing?
Nope. This camera is facing inward, pointing out a window. And look carefully about how the frame is, where the light begins. It does not match with any of the houses.
See, if you go at the very beginning, I want to show you something. It's weird you say that because I noticed something at the beginning. Right, where is it?
This is just before it blows.
There's like a reflection. There's like a reflection of like something behind the camera just as the video starts. What I thought was a reflection. Could you just start it and I'll tell you about pause it?
All right, it's going.
Aye.
Yeah.
You can see. Aye, there. It's there. See when it kind of dulls down.
It's where it looks like that's something's rising up right there.
Yeah. It's as if someone's walked past the window, but on the inside,
they're walking past a lamp that is reflecting in the window.
Yeah,
I know. I noticed that. I didn't notice that until I had a chance to put it up on a bigger screen, which sometimes happens. So don't trust everything you see on your phones.
See, that just shows you how that can be mistaken for
easily
a UFO.
If you're not paying attention to what's going on. I mean, let's face it, that kind of looks like there's some sort of craft right there.
But it's really just one of those mad lamps covered in material.
It's just a little lamp positioned just right. That's all it is. It got knocked over because these people do have cats
That's what
that
it
are
probably
quite
is.
rambunctious. So yeah. So instead of starting out with something real, well, they're going to start out with something that turned out to be obviously be a fake.
But you
This
see how
is
many
one of
people
the
would fall for that?
how many people don't actually look. I mean, it's something that we're probably going to get into pretty heavy tomorrow, where we're talking about the eclipse. But how
Yeah.
so many people think that they're into this type of stuff, they're not actually investigating what they're trying to preach.
Of course, and I'm going to bring up this subject, which I'm going to say about. You can see how the screen's quite dirty. Obviously, that's out the window, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get the people out there that's going to watch this, and they're going to say, "Oh, I can see a face in that. I can see
yeah.
a face in that." And it's called, was it? Is it Pladoria? What was it called again?
There's a couple different names for it, but the one that's commonly tossed around, it's not always technically accurate, but pareidolia, yes.
Pladoria, right? I'm Scottish. I'm allowed to make bad mistake with words and that. I'm looking at that, and if I stared at that long enough, I could probably make a face out of that, right?
Oh, I
There's
can
people.
see quite a few faces in this, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
yeah. That's what I was going to say. I didn't want to say nothing because people will think, "Oh, it's the aliens!" And look, you can see the spirits. The spirits. Oh, look, it's obviously they're need to clean their windows,
In fact,
right? It's got
yeah.
paw prints or it. Can't I mean?
Yeah. I mean, hell, if you actually look carefully, right as the flash goes, you can see somebody's head.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good one. That actually, it's actually a really good. This should be used for training the paranormal.
Exactly. I thought so too.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, come on, go away. There we go.
yeah,
System's not wanting to work with me.
yeah. It's the spirits. There was
There
somebody
is a
else saying
face.
it.
It's Dakota's. All right. So,
But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Are we getting a real one this time, or is it a trick one this time again?
well, we'll let the audience decide, because it's not really close enough to get a clear look, but it's interesting.
You're right.
Now, just to kind of build up to it while I'm fighting the system, I will say, those of you who followed the show for a while know that I've always talked about a certain trick that you can do with your smartphones. I mean, yes, you can get your hands on fancy night vision equipment. You can get all these fancy gadgets to try to catch this stuff, but let's face it, sometimes there's real shit that goes down. Always tends to happen when you have none of your toys with you. So you got to make
Exactly.
do with what's on you. So this was recorded using night mode on a Samsung Galaxy A52, just to
Yeah,
basically,
older model. Yeah.
we'll tell the type of phone it is. It's pretty good when it comes to photos. And the person used screen record in order to
Yep.
try to
Okay.
bring out the brightness. But as you can see, something's flying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look carefully at the surroundings, you can tell when that person is adjusting the camera, like right there,
Yeah.
in order to keep keep it on it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this. Is it something moving, or is it the illusion that it's moving? Because I've done this. I've seen some like weird stuff running about the moon and that, and I've taken I use an iPhone and I've videoed that, but I've noticed it only moves when I move.
See, here's where it gets. Here's the interesting bit. I'm the one that was recording this.
Right,
I took this myself this week.
right.
This was the morning of the 3rd, if I remember correctly. I'd have to check the
Mm-hmm.
timestamp again. I was literally just coming home. I was,
Yep.
clear night, looking at the stars, and all of a sudden I notice one's starting to move. I check the programs I have on my phone. It's not any registered satellites. It's not any stars moving on its own. I'm not really seeing any indication of it being a helicopter or a plane. So naturally, I start recording. And this is about the clearest footage I got.
But obviously, when it like darts about, that's the camera moving about and trying to focus, right? Because it's
Yeah.
no darting about, right? So I'm just saying that for the people that's watching this. It does look weird. I'll give you that. Can I ask you something? Was it moving when you were in the video in it?
It was.
Right. So obviously, it's an unidentified vehicle of some description, or it's something else.
I even checked, flight radar for that time frame. Nothing was there, or at least that was registered. So
It's quite interesting when you freeze it there. It's got like a kind of like a bowl shape to it.
it does a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can get it about.
But that's bound to be some size. I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of miles is that away? I mean, that's
I've been watching
quite big.
for any other sightings that would corroborate other people seeing this, but I haven't been as lucky lately.
And I you're going to get people out there saying, "Oh, but it's Elon Musk's, would you call it Starlink?" No, Starlinks
No,
have all of them.
yeah,
There's
you would
loads of
see
sham-
more than one moving with it, but that was not Starlink, not any planes I could find, no satellite. Now, naturally, military craft are a little bit harder to track, so I will say that because there are a lot of bases around me.
It's quite interesting, and the reason I say this is quite interesting because I've seen a video just exactly the same as yours
Mm-hmm.
today, but it was in Scotland, and somebody put it on TikTok, and they were filming the moon, and at the bottom it looked like, I can't remember what planet it is. There's like a wee planet at the bottom. It looked like that, but it was moving very, very slowly. But yeah, I mean, and that was just a couple of days ago that was put up. I'll see if I can find it to you and send it to you after. I'll find it.
It's funny you should say that because we actually have a bit of a moon pick as well.
Ooh, the moon.
This one kind of surprised me. Oh, come on. It didn't download to the full resolution, motherfucker.
Was it in like 1 pixel?
Hold on. Hold on. I'm BSing my way so I can get it. I got it saved to where I can easily get to it. But apparently it's saved to only like the little preview. So fuckers. Anyway.
Yeah, the joy of technology.
I know. You're not paying attention. It'll get you.
Mm.
All right. Come on, you piece of puke. Oh, God. I'm sounding like my old gym teacher.
Yeah, well, there you go. What age will he be now? He's not that. He'll not be that old. You know, he's probably still
Considering
teaching.
he was. No, he retired shortly after I left that school.
Mm.
He actually used to be my mom's teacher as well.
Wow, that's
So
good.
he's been a while. Amanda said that she sees an object that looked like a can of WD-40. You talking about the video, Lewis? Mother, you scrawny. All right, here we go. So,
Right.
here's the shot. It's pointed towards the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, this blue
yeah.
green bit is a lens flare.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a white object right here
I see that.
towards the left.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what was going on. I was just getting out of work, and I noticed there's been a lot of reports, obviously, lately of shit flying around about the moon. So I've been kind of, just kind of watching it, seeing if I can spot anything. All of a sudden, just below it, and it's probably, I fully believe it actually has something to do with what Dots mentioned before. That sometimes with craft, the way the fields they produce can actually distort the environment around them. can actually cause kind of some weird effects. The way I would describe it, it would be like if you were to put like a laser pointer in a glass ball and see how it would bounce around.
Yeah.
It was a full moon. As this thing was going past just below it, it was like it was catching parts of the moonlight. And the moonlight was moving inside of it as it was moving away. So actually, once I see that, I'm scrambling to get my phone out to try to get photos of this thing. My camera starts to glitch as I'm trying to get this. I'm barely able to get this last second. Now, if you just give me a second, I did bring up a edited version that brings it out a little bit more. Now, just try to get this all sorted out because I'm a knucklehead. All right, this one, go away. I wish I could.
That's interesting. I must admit, it's a strange shape. It's like a cube. I hope it's not the Borg. You know what I mean?
Here. Here's the edited photo to bring it out a little bit more. So yeah, I'm just right about there. I caught it last minute.
That is weird. That I mean, knowledge within in the chat. He does a lot of like photography of the moon and stuff.
Well, he did before his camera got stolen. He did before his camera got stolen. Remember?
He did. That's right. I bet he still got a telescope. I think.
Oh yeah.
Look at
this.
It's a weird shape in it. It's like a square cube in it. Oh, we will assimilate you. You know.
It looked. It almost looked a bit like a sideways, like a cross or an X. The way the field around it was partially. It literally looked like something out of old sci-fi film cloaking, like the Predator.
But again, I'm going to say that if it is a ship or it is some type of made vehicle, it's big.
It was huge. In comparison from where I was standing, it looked like it was about the size of the moon. But obviously, forced perspective type thing. Whatever it was,
it makes you wonder if there's some. It makes you wonder if there is a ship there, but it's cloaked, but the light is reflecting off the cloak.
I know that's something I've always said. If you want to have a chance to potentially see something cloaked, pay attention to if the lights in the sky start bouncing. Like they're being reflected off of something, because the way these craft can actually produce the fields around them, it can cause slight anomalies like that if you're not paying attention and if you don't catch it within that moment, you might just write it off as a trick of the light. I wish I had video of this. I wish I could pull the memory of this and put it on the computer. I mean, hell, I'm tempted if Neuralink gets approved and actually has that feature. I'm tempted, to be completely honest, just for cases like this.
That I'm going to say that Neuralink will help. We'll like see people that have been abducted and stuff like that. But then again, we all know the ETs out there, they can turn your technology off. They can fiddle with it. They can
exactly. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I get this question a lot. I know Elena does, and it honestly irritates her for how much she gets it. But again, this goes back to what I was talking about with radiation. The radiation will make it to where your phones may not work properly if it does not fry it completely. Maybe, I will say this, I was talking with someone and they gave me this idea. Maybe, because I do know that they sell something like this online, you might be able to counter it with some sort of Faraday cage, because you can get like Faraday cage phone cases. This is a big maybe. It's kind of something you can't really know for sure until you're in the moment testing it.
I'm going to say this, but you need money for this. I'm going to say night vision binoculars.
Yeah.
I get shown a pair once, military grade ones, and they were, I think, about £7,000 or £8,000 worth. I mean, they were ridiculous. It looked like something for the Commando show. But I popped these things on, and oh my god, I could see things darting about in the night sky, and things sitting there, and things fleeing past them as if they're watching the ones, or watching the ones, and there's something getting emitted off them. There's something that reflects when you use the night vision. I don't know how night vision works, right? But try it, guys. See if you ever MD ever offers you a shot at a night vision binoculars. I don't mean the cheap ones. I don't mean the ones that you get where everything's grey. I mean the ones where green, where it's like military grade.
You can get military grade night vision for about $200 these days.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's out of range, but just with inflation and all. But like I said, my big thing is you could have all the equipment in the world and nothing happen, but the second you're caught off guard.
See, that's an interesting.
That's the thing that always ticks me off when that happens.
Remember that UFO sighting that I had, and it was during broad daylight, and it was actually the knowledge within. He actually found out there was another UFO above me. Remember I showed you the footage of that? And I was walking along, and I looked over by the wind turbines, and there was nothing there. And then I was up at there was one of the cell towers. I'm not going to say what it is, a number like that, right? But anyway, it was one of them, right? And I walked up to it, and I thought, this feels weird. You could feel the energy of it. You felt weird. I maybe shouldn't have stood next to it, you know. And I turned around and I thought, what in God's name is that? I don't know if it did something to me that day. I don't know if that did something to me to allow me to see that. And it was huge. It was just sitting there above the wind turbines. So me being me, I took my phone, started videoing it. Nothing showed up. Nothing whatsoever showed up. But he actually, knowledge within there, he fiddled about with it, and it actually showed you something in the distance, sitting above the turbines, but something else right above me.
I remember you showing that one.
When I was looking at it, I was like, what the hell's going on here? Because I can see the UFO there, but the camera, there was nothing. And it's like you say, it must be some type of weird radiation coming off.
The cloaking. Yeah. It reminds me, it's this clip. I've had to go digging for it, but it's broad daylight near wind turbines, as a matter of fact.
I've noticed the light that kind of hangs in. Yeah.
I was out and about with family, and all of a sudden I noticed this silver dot flying in the sky, right? And I would imagine it would be something similar to the sphere UFOs that caused a lot of K-wire at the beginning of last year. But so naturally, I see this. I pull out my phone, not the same one that I have now, but trying to film it. Obviously, it's a far off object. I'm not even sure if I'm getting this thing. I'm barely catching a white reflection. You have to get it on a bigger screen, like a computer monitor or a TV, in order to basically occasionally catch it. Interestingly enough, you put it in through a video editor, start editing, start playing around with some of the filters. For some reason, if you were to put on an edge detection filter, it's basically supposed to make it look like it's being bumped out and stuff like that. That little dot all of a sudden had another shape fall around it about that big. So if you were to say like the tip of my pinky was the dot, the rest of whatever showed up was about that big. And that was just like flying right above me.
See, I mean, people say, oh, it depends what cameras have got now. What I have noticed is, I mean, what's the top camera phone you can get? That would have to be the Samsung one, wouldn't it? Again, there's the iPhone 15 Pro. That's
I was about to say the iPhones, I think, are some of the higher pixelation, but there's actually something I want to bring up that Lawrence's comment just brought to my attention, as to why the human eye can probably pick up on certain things that most smartphone cameras can't. if I remember correctly, I'm trying to find the official like statistic, but they say if you were to put a perfect vision human eye,
Mhm,
if you were to compare it to the number of pixels in a camera,
mhm.
the pixels of the human eye would be a couple thousand at least megapixels. Whereas,
Yeah,
like say my phone is, the Samsung Galaxy you mentioned earlier, it's a 64 megapixel.
yeah.
So obviously the human eye under ideal conditions is going to pick up on a lot more, which is
Mhm.
why I kind of wish there was something like Neuralink to where I could download some of the shit I've seen. But it also makes you wonder. We say that in concept it may help with abduction cases,
But
but
here,
if the radiation is messing with the electronics, could that potentially put the abductee in medical harm?
right, I see where you're going with this, right? But I actually had a conversation with somebody that kens all about cameras that spend thousands of pounds on the SLR cameras and stuff like that, right?
Lewis,
No, it's no Lewis. It was somebody
I was
else.
about to say there wasn't his
No,
camera.
no. The person in question had a lens worth like £25,000.
Damn.
Yeah, it was big, man. It was huge. Right. Never mind that. And I was saying to him about the UFO subject and stuff like that. And he says, aye, but he says, see, right, what's the top Samsung phone you get?
I think that's the what was it?
I found this on the web for what is the top Samsung phone you get. Check it out.
I can't hear you. How does that hear you?
You just asked it.
It should be turned off. That right? But wait now, that it shouldn't be like that. Sorry, stop listening. Go away. No, but anyway, it's putting me off there. All sorry. But anyway, listen. The top Samsung phone, right, uses, and I found this very interesting. It uses AI, and the AI uses photos that's ready available.
Mm,
So see if you see like a mountain, right, and you zoom up, like no, change that. See you see a castle in the distance, and you zoom up to that, right, and you think to yourself, Jesus Christ, that's an amazing lens that's on that for such a small phone. It's actually using photos that it's got available to piece together what
mm-hmm.
that looks like. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I
you
know
see
what
where
you're
I'm going with
talking
this,
about.
right? So when somebody holds it up, iPhone is different. I know that. When you hold it up to a UFO, it's not going to have pictures of alien ships, is it? It's not going to have. It's not going to have that available. So it's only got to take the picture that it can manage to take. Whereas I watched a program about this. It was the Samsung. I can't remember what it was. It was only a couple of months ago. The new one, and a composite exactly. No, it's and the guy's like he said there was a tower block, and the guy zoomed right up to it, right, taking a
Mm-hmm.
picture, then looked at it and thought, "Wow, that looks awesome." You could see into the person's room and everything. That looks awesome. But then they take an older style camera with the same zoomage and zoomed up, and the room was different from the Samsung phone.
Mm,
It had ta'en the AI in it had ta'en like a composite. It had the images in it to make it look. So what you're looking at, oh, that looks really real. But how you got to know? It's not as if you're going to go into that building, go up into the 75th floor, and get a tour of that room. How are you going to know?
mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going with this? So maybe when you're using one of these new cameras on one of these UFOs, the AI is thinking to itself, right, I don't have anything that matches with this, so I'll just take a picture of it in a split millisecond.
You're gonna see a lot more of that AI integration as it becomes a lot more available. But
Exactly.
Lawrence, has ask questions, so it knows your location and what you're looking at. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there was an artist who actually built a lensless camera,
Hmm.
and what it did is that it took GPS location with an AI,
Hmm.
and you were to point it in any direction you wanted to, and be
Hmm.
able to take a photo. Again, this camera does not have a lens.
Yeah.
And it would take an almost exact perfect picture of what you were looking at.
Because somebody was already taken a picture of it and had access to that picture.
Exactly.
So it's basically they could take
So
like,
it can be done. It can be
Yeah.
done. Now, this gentleman says that he has no plans to try to mass produce it.
it's
It was just
ba-
more of an art project for him. But
right, it's basically taking a phone but taking the cameras out of it, right? Pointing the phone at say anything, and then up on your screen pops what you've pointed at.
Mhm.
Hence, you don't need the cameras. See, this is where they think that this is where it's going. Like the new the iPhone 16 is the last one, seemingly, and then it's got to be all wearable after that. What I've been learning because I'm writing my Apple stuff, and I've
Well
heard about this. I've heard doesn't matter what you point your wearable device at, a picture will pop up.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, everybody's seen the Google cars going about. They're taking pictures all the time, boom, 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 right? Basically, you had the technology in this can, right? The cameras on it, you could point it at, say, Big Ben, right? If you're in London, and all of a sudden, picture would pop up on your screen.
Mhm.
That is the way technology is going. They're getting rid of cameras. They're getting rid of the cameras.
And it's kind of funny when you really think about it that there's all this push to get rid of cameras and all this push to essentially bend reality to where you have to question absolutely everything you see because of how sophisticated AI programs are getting.
You see, that's the thing.
With all of this corruption starting to be revealed.
That's the thing. You could be
Dun,
like,
dun, dun.
you could look on TV and say, oh, there's somebody talking about there's been a terrible terrorist attack in London and stuff, but the news is putting out that there's nothing. I'll go into my phone, but it says, oh, look, there's somebody for the scene, it's lovely, and everything. That it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. Things can be doctored. So they'll be wanting you to see the images, but the images that you're seeing have been cleared by the state as like normal.
And I will say that people probably say, oh, people wouldn't do that. People wouldn't do that. I will say this. One can go to China right now. And depending on whether or not the area has had a significant enough rainstorm, because seriously, trust me, if you go with how bad the pollution is over in China, pray for rain. It'll clear up most of it.
Yeah.
There's this harbor that has
Mhm.
a view of Shanghai. I've been there
Mhm.
myself. Absolutely beautiful sight, especially at night when all the lights come up. It is very beautiful. I highly encourage anybody who has a chance to go just to experience it for yourself.
Mhm.
There's locations along this harbor where it shows the city line, where they have like panorama billboards, essentially, of the skyline for people to be able to take photos
Mhm.
when the pollution gets to be too bad. Because let's face it, there's
Yeah.
been a couple times now in the last few years they canceled fireworks shows because the pollution was so bad they may as well
Yeah.
be napalming their population.
Yeah. But here's
It's done.
go-
It's been. I'll say it's already being done with very simple methods, and as technology becomes a lot more accessible, a lot easier to use,
Mhm.
more people are going to be using it.
Yeah. It's like knowledge within there. They're going to get rid of cameras. No, what they're going to do is they're going to get rid of cameras on your phones. It'll be like, oh, you've got to remember, everybody's always taking selfies. All these pictures that everybody's taking obviously gets looked at and copies get made, right? I mean, I've got what do you call it, a terabyte. I pay for it for my Google when I can upload all my pictures, right? And they
Right.
say that's personal and that's all that kind of stuff. No, it's not personal. They've probably been in there and they've copied different, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's doing it. They're doing it, right? They're copying it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, imagine a phone, right? A normal iPhone looks fine, except in the back there's no cameras. And it doesn't matter what you point that phone at, the image of what you're looking at will pop up in the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Even though it doesn't have any cameras. But this is where it gets interesting. If they want you to think that somewhere in the world's okay when it isn't okay, or where somewhere else in the world that's having a war, for instance, isn't having a war, it's all like propaganda, George Orwell kind of material. This is where it gets worrying. It would be cool if a sonar style camera would be used. There actually is a sonar style
There
camera. There's a
is
noise.
technically there already is, and you see it. Several
Is that no LiDAR?
several paranormal investigators that actually already use something similar.
Is that
Little
no?
SLS,
Yeah, is that no
which
LiDAR? It's called.
yeah, what it does, it uses, I believe, infrared light to pick up the
Mhm.
depth of objects in a room to be able to actually get like a 3D scan.
I know someone. He's got a TikTok. I think I was watching it last night. It's weird we talk about this, and he bought himself a cheap robotic Hoover,
Hmm.
and he stripped it down, and it was only after one thing was the LiDAR. And the sound, it goes round about, it kens what's round about, it kens what, so as it doesn't bump into anything. And he taken that out so as he could take images inside his room and could it feed it straight to his computer.
Hmm.
And that's actually a really good idea, that paranormal equipment made with that. Hey, Iron Fire Horse, good to see you.
It would be.
But yeah, there's people out there watching LiDAR or paranormal equipment. There you go, Louise, if you make something up, you know. But it's everything's changing now. Everything's changing, guys. I mean, I was raking about the other day there, and I found my first ever smartphone. And this is going back to, oh my God, 2003,
Oh dear Lord.
2004. Yeah. It was an iPhone 3G, one of the first iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
And you should see the camera in the back. I don't know what it is. I've put it somewhere. It doesn't work anymore. And that was my first kind of smartphone. But see, nowadays, the technology, I mean, Apple's bringing out, there's a big update coming out for the Apple soon. And seemingly it's, what do you call it, AI based for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Android phones in the past that's had the AI for the camera, and I thought to myself, that's amazing. I've taken a picture of
is.
a gloomy room, and then you look at the screen, it looks like it's like, it looks like it's been done with like the best. You wonder how it's done. What's this?
And Lawrence writes, I guarantee you, when I walk up my street, there's multiple doorbell cameras watching me pass by. You can't escape it.
Exactly.
You can't.
Look.
Because people in power have found that the population is willing to give up their rights in trade for security and safety.
Yep.
That's where a lot of this comes into play. Going into George Orwell territory.
And this is what a lot of people don't realise. You get driverless cars, Tesla, and other kind of cars. People don't realise that the cars have got cameras on them. I seen a car the other day. I think it was the new model Tesla. I said to the guy, I said, "That's a nice car." And he says, "Oh, he says it's got cameras all the way around about it. You can see." He showed us the screen inside it, and it makes you wonder what happens to all that data. I says to him, I says, "Does it ever fill up? Do you ever need to empty your hard drive?" And he says, "Oh no, Tesla automatically delete it for you." But do they? Do they take it, copy it, and then delete it?
I was about to say, you got to take into consideration, and this is something that people should really be aware of. Say you go onto a website, and say you go to create an account, or you go to sign in, and it has those CAPTCHAs, right? That are made by Google. They say, oh, pick the boxes that have the bicycles or the buses, or which has those crosswalks, things like that. Do you realize what that actually is doing?
Giving them access to everything.
No, it's actually making the population, whoever uses that website, as free labor, free training for their artificial intelligence programs,
Yeah.
for like Google Street View and stuff like that.
I'm going to say this to you. See if you turn your iPhone off or you turn your Samsung phone off or whatever phone you've got off, right? It can still listen to you.
Oh yeah. And let's say like Dotson says your phone has a camera and a microphone. Well, my phone
Mhm.
has like, I think, let's see, six,
Oh,
like
Christ,
5
I
different
don't know.
cameras on it. 5
You
different cameras on it. There's at
look at
least
the
2
Apple.
different
I mean, you've got the
microphones.
ones, that's the iPhone 12, obviously, you got that one, but then you've got the ones, the camera at the front.
Yeah, you got the front camera, you got the 4 cameras on the back.
Yeah.
Now, I'll admit, it takes amazing photos, which is
Oh,
something I
yeah.
look for when I go for a new phone.
Mhm.
But the cameras are everywhere. Fuck, they got cameras on toilets these days.
Yep. I've seen that. I've seen
And
that.
I'm not just talking the person looking to film something they shouldn't be looking at.
It's, as I say, with that car that I seen the other day there, I was like, it was the new model 2024 plate Tesla. And I was like, wow, this
I was
is
about to
nice.
say, those Teslas do frequent software updates, and it probably says somewhere in the terms and conditions that information stored on those things can be used for training purposes or
Yeah.
training, marketing, things like that. That's how they get access.
Yeah. It's like
Simple as
you
that.
think about it, right? We're using Melon. I bet you Melon's trading information on here.
Probably.
Yeah.
Everything we
Nothing
use has some sort of training purposes to it.
nothing is sacred anymore. You think of all the billions of phones out there that are getting used right at this very moment and the information gathered from them. Which is what's that Iron Fire Horse? Tell me about the bathroom at my is that is a
Dr.
camera?
Zong has a camera. Have to allow them or I can't go. That is wow.
That's bad.
I hope it's something to monitor for potential drug users, and that is it.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, at the same time, so much shit is going on in the world, probably propagated to allow it's basically like how here in the States, it's almost a time for everybody to file their taxes if they haven't already. TurboTax and companies like that, they lobbied against Congress to make sure that the tax process remained difficult so they could sell their services. It happens all the time.
I mean, before we end the show, I don't know if you've noticed this because again, you work in the kind of shopping industry and stuff. I've noticed the big Tesco superstore near me. I was wandering up and down the aisles the other day, and I noticed all the shelves had cameras on them. And people are like, it's the soap shop filters. No, it's no, because I know somebody that works there, and seemingly when you take something off, it sends like an information.
It's
It
an
goes like say,
inventory count.
an inventory account. But who's to say that that's not watching you in there anyway? It's
It's going to
watching
be
you.
watching you.
Of course, it's going to be watching you.
Of course, it's going to be watching you. Yes, there's part of it that is about shoplifters. Let's face it, there's people that do that all the time. But at the same time, it helps with their inventory, trying to make it a bit more accurate. All that, it tracks where all the product is actually being stored for, say, like for those of you stealing condoms and pregnancy tests and stashing them somewhere else in the store. I see it all the time.
I will say this for Iron Firehorse because I know the laws in the UK on photography and stuff in public, and I do know that if someone takes a video or pictures of you in public, if it's a corporation, see if you're like, say I was standing outside with a video camera in the street and I was taking video, and somebody complained, there would be nothing you could do about it because you're in public. But if whoever's taking your picture in public is a corporation, right? Or it's like police or corporation or whoever it is, you can actually request to see that footage. The law. Again, that's what it is here. So there you go.
You got places like over here in the U.S., here in Idaho, it's a one-party consent state.
Right.
So if I were in a situation where I feel that it might be in my best interest to be recording, The other person doesn't have to know. Now, granted, that's for situations where if you got like an abusive boss at work that's harassing you, or it's for cases of domestic violence, so people can gather evidence, things like that, which makes sense. But again, unfortunately, these problems that are coming up, and people are probably wondering, how the hell does this have to do with proof in the paranormal? It's the fact that there's nothing that can truly be done to define parameters to really advance this thing. These situations are becoming a lot more complex than a lot of people care to actually give any thought to. So, people get bothered that maybe we're not focusing directly on paranormal, but if you actually step back for 5 seconds, aspects of what is done in the supernatural get reflected on in everyday life.
Yeah. But what I will say, Iron Fire Horse, is you could probably, the state would have to allow you access, but if it's a state-run building, a government-run building, would have to allow you access to that video footage. But then then that opens up the doors, and you wonder to yourself, who else has got access to that?
Because you're looking at security that helps monitor that, IT guys, administration.
Toilets should not
even.
have cameras in them. Toilets should not have cameras in them, and that's disgraceful. But there you go.
But then again, like we were saying, what doesn't have cameras these days?
Exactly. What doesn't have cameras these days? I mean, everything's got cameras. Even top smart TVs have got cameras on them and stuff like that now.
It's where you can use like Google, Facebook Hangouts, and all that fun stuff.
So, totally changing the subject because I know we're 12 minutes over the hour. Tomorrow we're discussing the eclipse.
Well,
I mean, it's
yeah,
going to be
why not?
interesting that because we're
Why
talking
not?
about all the strange things
Because
that's happening.
there's strange things happening. We'll talk about all the conspiracies, depending on whether or not I have decent weather. Because I am saying this because we got hit with snow today. I may try to do some sort of live during the eclipse, but our dear friends Uncle Tim and Papa Joey are doing live from the Path of Totality on their channel out there with Suds Paranormal. So do check them out. Give Papa Joey some love as he is dealing with cancer chemotherapy right now.
Yeah, please have him in your prayers and stuff like that. I hope it doesn't like turn into the night of the comet. You ever seen the 80s movie, The Night of the Comet? You know what I'm talking about?
We already got people trying to say that where the paths cross from the 2017 eclipse to this one is going to be a sign of a major human sacrifice. God.
I mean, there's all that with the Alexa kind of thing too. Will the world end in the 8th? People don't realize you can program your Alexa to give you answers.
It's not that hard to do.
It's no. Yeah, I mean,
I've actually made my Alexa curse out my younger sister just to be a shit.
Yeah, you can. I've got mine the voice. You can change the voice and everything on them.
No, mine's got a sexy Aussie voice.
Good day, mate. I can't do an Australian accent. I'm just, indeed, sir. Indeed, I'm a southern gentleman. I better not do that.
I was about to say you sound like a slave owner.
Well, times are gone,
Times are gone, but Scotland is being one of the more proactive against discrimination laws.
Well, you're not allowed to say anything to them now. You can't even say good morning now to somebody in case you get arrested for it, But anyway, guys, it's been a fantastic Saturday night. I hope you all have a fantastic night. With that, people are pretty creative and laws. Yeah, exactly. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Do you have any news or anything to go on to tell anyone?
Oh, nothing yet. We have some stuff in preparation, but I want to make sure that it's put together nice and proper before we say too much.
Exactly. So everybody else that's watching, have a fantastic night, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Remember, check out the links below, and also check out Pete, the son of the Naked Bigfoot's TikTok channel. He'll be uploading stuff soon. He's probably getting chased about the woods as we speak by some crazed, hairy creature.
Probably. And Dots will understand. We know Elena has a webinar on tomorrow, but much love.
Yes.
Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.